In this video, I'm going to show you all you need to know about the Fender Musicmaster bass. Hi guys, I'm Tyler. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. If you're new around here, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button too. This video is coming to you from NAMM Studios here in the UK, and I'll leave a link to the studio in the description. In this video, as I said, I'm going to show you all you need to know about the Fender Musicmaster basses, vintage basses from the 70s. And I'm also going to do a comparison of tapewounds and flatwound strings in the same video. So as you can see, I've got two Musicmaster basses here. This is, I believe, a 76, though I haven't yet taken the neck off. 76 Musicmaster bass. And this here on the left is a 72, 74, parts from different eras on this bass here on the left. So this red bass has been refinished, we're 90% sure of that, and we believe that this bass on the right hand side is almost, if not entirely, original. As short scale basses are coming back into fashion, and they definitely have, appearing in Fender's modern range that they're currently producing, the Musicmaster is another 30-inch scale bass, and this is one of the very original 30-inch scale basses. You had the Mustang bass, which was 30, so a shorter scale, and then this Musicmaster again, which is another 30-inch scale bass. And I believe the original intention with the Musicmaster bass was for it to be a student model. So there are a few different features on the bass that suggest it to be a student model, and I'm just going to run you through the specs of these basses now, and after that I'm going to show you some tones and then show you back to back the difference between the strings and these two Musicmaster basses, so you're going to get an idea of the sound of the Musicmaster. So this Musicmaster has a rosewood fingerboard, a alder body and a maple neck. The pickup is an interesting point because it's a Stratocaster pickup. It's originally just one of the old Stratocaster pickups put on a bass, and that's cool because it has its own sound and definitely gives the Musicmaster its own vibe. It's then a volume and tone just like a P bass. You have this tug bar here for resting your thumb on. The body is refinished in a Dakota red, or what I would call like a Dakota red now. If you ordered from the custom shop, I'd say the Dakota red would get you closest to this. It has the simple bridge here with the shared bridge piece, so the intonation has to be balanced between the two strings just by angling the bridge piece itself, but super simple bridge. And the 30-inch scale, as I mentioned before. It has this fairly weighty set of tuners, and also quite small, so they kind of feel halfway between bass tuners and guitar tuners, which is a little bit of a vintage vibe, bit of its own thing for the Musicmaster. You then also have the Fender logo and the cool Musicmaster on the headstock. The bass is held together with a 4-bolt neck joint, and the weight is probably roughly around the 3 3/4 kilogram mark. As well as the finish being not original, there's also this perloid scratch plate, which I also don't believe is original. In terms of the neck profile on this red bass, it's pretty chunky down at the bottom of the neck, kind of giving it an almost U-type shape, and then as you come further up towards the heel, it definitely flattens out and widens up a little bit. So kind of the opposite of a P bass really, quite chunky down low and doesn't really fatten up, it thins out as it comes up towards the 12th fret. Moving to this cream Musicmaster bass, very similar specs, same with the neck and the rosewood board, maple neck, alder body, same system with the pickup being a Strat pickup, volume and tone. All the same really. In terms of the neck profile, it's also very similar. It feels a little bit wider at the nut. I don't think it actually is. I just think it's a little bit more of a kind of D shape at the very bottom of the nut. And then again, tapers maybe a little bit less than the red bass. This is a 76, so I'd have actually thought it would have been a little bit slimmer, but to be honest, it feels a little bit thicker. And I think the reason that it's quite so thick down at the first fret is that the cut is really there to enhance the neck joint. Still fairly comfy, being that it's a shorter scale, but definitely to the thicker end and thicker size down between 1 and the 3rd fret. I also think that this cream model comes in at a little bit of a lighter weight, being more around the 3.5 kilogram mark. So neither of these are particularly light. 70s Fenders weren't known for being very light, but definitely with this cream model, a little bit of a weight saving compared to a 34-inch scale bass. One thing that always irks me a little bit on these 70s basses is the neck pocket join. All the 70s basses pretty much entirely are overcut, so the body is wider than the neck pocket. in order to make sure that whatever neck they cut always fit on, but it always leaves you with this little shelf towards the side of the neck, which is, in my opinion, a little bit annoying, and I don't really like it, but it's characteristic of that era. So those are the specs of this bass. Now I'm just going to play you a little bit soloed and then put them head to head with the two different sets of strings. The cream bass has the flatwound strings on it. I think they're pretty light gauge, and then the red bass has the tapewounds on it, which are definitely a slightly heavier gauge. So this is the bass with the tone on full. This is the bass with the tone rolled off. So this is now the bass with tapewounds with the tone on full. And this is the bass with tone on 0. So that's the tone soloed. Let me know your thoughts on either bass and which you prefer at this point. Do you prefer the tapewounds or the flatwounds? In the comments below. So now you've heard the bass is soloed, I'm going to do the head-to-head comparison, giving you that comparison of the tapewounds and the flatwound strings, as well as just the two variations of the same bass. Don't forget to let me know in the comments below which is your favourite out of the settings in the tone demo. So now you've heard the basses, don't forget to let me know which was your favourite setting in the comments below. I'm just going to give you my conclusions on these basses and let you know who I think they are best suited to. I think the first thing I've got to say is that these are definitely a flavour bass for me. I don't think I could use one of these as my main bass for anything in particular, but I do think that they are a really cool sound to have in an arsenal of basses, and something definitely a little bit different. The fact that it uses a Strat pickup definitely gives it a lot of mid-range and not a ton of bottom end. I do find that if you plug these into something like an Aguilar and really boost the 40Hz bass, or even a Sadowski preamp, something like that, you're going to get a really big fat bass from it. But it's kind of cool, it's got its own little vibe. It's not really like a P bass where it's super defined. These can sound really woolly and muddy if you want them to in the bass end, and sometimes that has a really cool place. I think naturally they're inherently very mid-rangey. There's a lot of mid-range from that Strat pickup, and you definitely hear that and feel that through the definition on the A and the D strings. I think the best example of that is when I plugged it in here at the studio with the engineer and the band set up here ready to listen, and I started playing, and quite quickly it was oh, I'm not really sure about that, and I switched to my Sadowski and everyone in the room quickly went, oh yeah, that's perfect. I think that's the thing with these basses. You have to really know exactly where they need to fit and why, and also how to really enhance what's there. If you were to maybe switch this pickup out for something that was a bit more bass centric, like a 51 style precision pickup, I feel like you could use these for a much wider range of things. But being that it has that Strat pickup, it has a certain vibe, and that vibe isn't going to suit everything. And especially if you're playing for other people, sometimes that's not going to be the right thing for them. They might hear it and think, actually that's not quite the tone I want, or what I think of as a bass tone. For me, I think it's a different bass tone and a cool thing to have in an arsenal, but again, I couldn't have this as my number one main bass. So who do I recommend these to? I would recommend these basses to anybody who wants a vintage short scale bass for reasonable money. These are vintage instruments, and they do fetch a good amount of money because they are vintage Fenders. Fender has heritage as a brand, and vintage instruments, they do feel cool. I personally really dig the feel of this red bass with the tapewounds, but I think it's partially because the tapewounds are a bit thicker, whereas the white bass definitely feels a lot more refined. This bass feels like it's a bit rough and ready, and it has, for me, it seems like it's been played a lot more, and it has that played in feel, whereas this is kind of a bit more of a pristine example of a 70s bass that's been well looked after. And for me, I'm a bit more of a player than I am a collector, so I'd personally go for this red bass if I was to choose one of the two. I'd also recommend these to anyone who wants a Fender bass with a different flavour. They're definitely unique in the way that they sound. They do have a lot of mid-range, but I think with the right EQ, you can definitely make these do some really cool things and really serve the right role as a bass in a typical band mix. You just have to know what you're doing with them before you start. The other thing I'd say that these basses would be great for is anyone playing with the idea of tic-tac bass. That amount of mid-range, when you have the tone all the way up, there's so much mid-range and treble there that it could really do the tic-tac bass thing well. But I also find that you do get a little bit more of that bass back, that classic Fender roll-off when you roll the tone back. So that's also in there, you just have to know how to find it. Overall, I'd say these basses are great for anyone looking for a vintage Fender bass. They have their P bass, they have their J, they have their Mustang, they have all those classic sounds, and they still want to have something a little bit different. I would definitely check one of these out. They're comfortable to play, they have that unique sound, and being vintage 70s Fenders, they're going to go up in value too. So hopefully this video has been really helpful to you and kind of giving you an insight into the vintage Fender Musicmaster bass. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. These basses are for sale. Well, one of them will be, definitely. I'm happy to sell one of them, if not both, but that will depend. Let me know in the comments below, or send me an email. You can find that on my YouTube page, or just Google me, find my website, and send me a message on the contact form there if you are interested in purchasing one of these basses. My Instagram should be below me right now. Don't forget to head over there and check that out. You can see the whole host of things I do here at the studio and just general musical activities I get up to over there. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video and you like this kind of content. There's more content like this. This is exactly how I do all my video gear demos of basses. So if you like what you've seen in this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hopefully I'll see you again on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around soon.